All right, it's been about 10 months since my last EDC update. I've made a couple little tweaks, couple changes. Let's just get into it. I want to thank Nomad Lane for sponsoring this video. I'm going to show you their popular bento bag and their newer sling. Both are great for travel and EDC. I'll talk more about them later. First, let's get into the video. Okay, so we'll start with probably the most important part of any modern everyday carry, which is the phone. I don't know how tech YouTubers do it. Like, their stuff always looks so clean. These things are fingerprint magnets. This is the iPhone 13 mini. I actually thought it was broken because it was having trouble charging and it wouldn't connect to CarPlay via USB. So I brought it to a Verizon store, and of course they told me that it was broken, the lightning port was damaged, there was nothing they could do. I had to buy a new phone. But then I brought it to a repair shop, and in like 10 seconds, this guy pulls out a Tic Tac sized dust bunny from the lightning port, something that I tried to do myself but couldn't. He said that was the problem, and he didn't even want to charge me. So I gave him 10 bucks. As I sat in my car enjoying my newly reliable Apple CarPlay, I reflected on 3 lessons learned. 1, phone salespeople can't be trusted. 2, repair shops are underrated. And 3, upgrading is often unnecessary. I really like the size of the 13 mini, and the iPhone no longer comes in smaller sizes. You can either get the regular or like the Max, which is just way too big in my opinion. Sure, the latest generations have slightly faster processors, probably better cameras, but in my hand, the 15 feels too big. So I'm glad I got this phone fixed instead of upgrading or replacing it. I'm probably going to keep using it until it slows down significantly or until the battery degrades. One small change here: as small as this phone is, it can still be a little bit hard to hold in one hand like while typing. So I've been testing this little Snap 4 Lux from a brand called OSnap. From my research, this is the lowest profile and highest quality phone grip / stand that you can get. It's thin, it works with wireless charging and MagSafe. It seems to work well with or without a case. Like even if I have this leather case on, this one from, I think it's called Nomad Goods that I've been using for a while, the Snap 4 Lux still sticks onto the phone just using the magnet, and I can still wirelessly charge. I haven't decided yet if I want to use it with or without the case. I kind of like having a case on the phone just to protect from drops, but what you're really supposed to do with this thing is pull the back off and use the adhesive to semi-permanently stick it onto your phone or your case. I'd prefer to use it without the case just to cut down on the bulk. I just can't commit. Anyway, this definitely makes your phone easier to use with one hand. It's also like kind of fidgetable. It's easy to prop up on the table, like if I'm watching a YouTube video while I'm eating breakfast or FaceTiming somebody. You can also prop it up that way in vertical mode. It's pretty satisfying. And of course, you can also stick your phone to any metal surface like the squat rack at the gym or your refrigerator. It's a very strong magnet. Bottom line, I think this is a pretty nifty, relatively affordable upgrade to your phone. And of course, I will link to it below in the description, along with everything else you see in this video. I've also been carrying this Juicebox power bank just in case I need to charge up on the go. It doesn't happen often, but when you need a charge, you usually really need it. And again, this one uses MagSafe, so you just stick it on the back of your phone like that, and then boom, starts charging. Like I said, I don't use it all the time, but it is a lightweight way to combat the old battery anxiety. I'll link to this below as well. Okay, let's take a sec to talk about today's sponsor, Nomad Lane. I heard about this brand years ago from my friend Baron, who runs Effortless Gent. And by the way, if you like my content, you will love Effortless Gent, so go check that out. Baron travels a lot, and he's always sworn by Nomad Lane's bento bag as like a personal item or a carry-on, especially for people who like to pack light. Now that I've gotten my hands on the latest and greatest iteration of this bag, version 4, I kind of understand the hype. I haven't really seen anything else like this bag. It's kind of like a blend between a laptop bag, a duffel, and a small carry-on. Like you could use this for a business trip or a weekend getaway, or even a longer vacation if you pack light. It's shaped like a structured weekend bag, but it opens flat like a suitcase. So unlike any duffel, you can actually pack folded clothes in this without them getting all wrinkled up. And it's much easier to get your clothes without digging through everything. The bento bag fits comfortably under airplane seats. It has a padded laptop sleeve and an external water bottle pocket and luggage sleeve, so you can slip this over the handle of your rolling luggage. Plus, it comes with a toiletry pouch, a tech organizer, and a shoulder strap. And these 2 pouches each have their own little easy access compartments. So for example, if you're going through airport security, you could just quickly grab your liquids without rifling through the main compartment. Then there's the Tamagotchi sling. I almost said Tamagotchi, but Tamagotchi. Then there's the Tamagotchi sling, which comes in 2 sizes. This is the larger one, the 2.5 liter in black. I can easily fit all of my everyday carry in this bag with room to spare. I could even fit some wipes and a couple diapers in here, so it could be like a very compact diaper bag. It would be perfect as a personal item on an airplane. The magnetic clasp is practical, it's satisfying to use. Like the bento bag, this just feels premium. It feels like it could take a beating. And it has all of these little details like a stretchy key leash so you can unlock a door without actually taking your keys out of the bag. It also has a good amount of organization, but not too much. You know, some bags just have too many compartments. This one is just right. I could go on, but the bottom line is I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of these bags. If you want to check them out for yourself, I'll link to both bags below in the description, or you can go to nomadlane.com. Moving on to keys. You know, many people don't think about how they carry their keys. You should see my wife's key setup. It's chaos. But I hate having an untamed, pokey mess of keys in my pocket. And that's why, my friend, I've gone pretty deep down the rabbit hole of key organization. And yeah, sometimes I use that as an opening line when I'm talking to girls at the bar. Just kidding. I don't talk to girls. Gross. But for real, I have tried all of the most popular key wrangling widgets on the market. I even made a whole video comparing the best key organizers, which is a few years old, but it's still relevant, so you can go check that out. And I almost always go back to the simple carabiner because, unlike most organizers, it gets the keys out of your pocket. The problem is, carabiners don't work without belt loops. And especially during summer, I'm often wearing casual shorts that don't have belt loops. That's why recently I've been liking this setup. I have all of my keys on this little Key Smart Mini, which is basically just like a better key ring. That's basically like my home keys and office keys. Then I attach my gym tag and my fob on the end. The thing is, we're a 2-car family, and I always have hated carrying 2 fobs around. It's so bulky. So I'm using these little Key Smart magnet connectors, and I can just swap out the fob depending on which car I'm driving. So I never have to carry both of them at the same time. You know, it's the little things in life, but for me, this was a big upgrade. I mean, if you have all this, 5 keys, a gym tag, and 2 fobs in your pocket, that's madness. So I've reduced some bulk with these little magnet connectors, and then I'm also playing with this little Key Smart dangle tool, so you can use this as like a carabiner to basically hang the keys on your belt loop. All told, this is a pretty elegant solution in my formerly modest opinion. Is it perfect? No. Do I lay awake at night longing for a completely digitized world in which keys have become obsolete and teenagers don't make fun of my no-show socks on TikTok? Of course I do. But until that dream becomes a reality, this setup is working just fine. Let's talk watches. Now, if you actually follow this channel, you might be expecting me to talk about this recently refurbished Rolex Datejust. I made a whole video about that piece, which you can go check out if you're interested. Today, I have something new and exciting to show you. By the way, this box is from Case Elegance. You can find it on Huckberry. I'll link to it below. It can store 10 watches and even a plugged-in Apple Watch, but it's modular, so I'm using it as more of a hybrid watch/EDC storage box. So it has a few watches, a couple of knives, and some watch tools. Don't worry, I'll talk more about this in future videos. The watch I'm wearing today is from a brand called Christopher Ward. You know, Christopher Ward is one of those watch brands that I've admired for years from a distance, but I never really got any wrist time with one of their pieces until recently. The brand generously sent me this C63 Sealander in Dragonfly Blue, and it is a stunner. You know, when you're a little kid, it's like really important to have a favorite color, and you really think about it, like what color represents me? I could never decide between blue and green. I just love them both. And this dial is like the perfect blend between those two colors. It also has a complementary pop of orange, most noticeably on the GMT hand, which can be used as a 24-hour clock or to track a second time zone. Speaking of which, do you know how hard it is to find a 36mm GMT? Usually the more complications you add to a watch, the bigger the watch gets. There aren't many watches with a GMT hand and a date window housed in a tasteful 36mm case. And this is cool because for me, no matter how good looking a watch is, if it's bigger than, say, 38mm, I just won't wear it. It looks too big on my wrist. My sweet spot is really like 34 to 36mm. And that really limits your options, especially for GMTs. So I just want to say kudos to Christopher Ward for making such a tastefully sized GMT watch. It's so cool. I also really like this consort bracelet, which is sort of like a Jubilee 5-link bracelet, but this one has a butterfly clasp. Very cool. It also has some micro adjustability built in a very clever way. So on each side of this butterfly clasp, you can just adjust the bracelet by a few millimeters, and you can do that on each side. So you can really get the perfect fit, which is awesome because oftentimes on bracelets with butterfly clasps, they're either too loose or too tight. But you know, you can get this on other bracelets, and I think it would look good on pretty much anything or any other style of strap. I kind of like to try it on a rubber strap, but one with the curved edges for that integrated look. But this bracelet is very comfortable and I think pretty eye-catching too. People compare the white and black versions of the C63 to Rolex's Explorer 2, which I can kind of see, especially if you put it on an Oyster bracelet. But this configuration with the Consort bracelet and the Dragonfly blue dial feels totally unique to me. Like I said, this is my first time wearing a Christopher Ward watch, and they get really good reviews here on YouTube, and I'll be honest, it exceeded my expectations. So if you are looking for that entry-level luxury tier watch, or dare I say affordable luxury, but like actually affordable luxury, I think that this brand should be on your short list. Wallets. Just like with keys, I'm pretty, particular about my wallets. I guess most guys are, because it's like the one accessory that pretty much every guy carries, and we actually use it all the time. Over the years, I've increasingly preferred minimalist wallets, usually like card holders, so these are like slim, low-profile wallets that don't actually open. I love that kind of wallet because you can carry it in your front or back pocket. It makes you mindful of what you're putting in it, and it just sort of vanishes. You don't even think about it. I haven't carried like a bifold or a trifold in a long time. But this German brand, Reform Carry, sent out one of their card holders a while back, and it's been my daily driver for months. It's just such a good design. It's made from a synthetic rubber, which is kind of dry. It feels like nylon. It's an incredibly slim wallet with one of the best layouts that I've ever seen. It's not leather, but it still feels premium. I love that there's no visible branding on the outside. I wish more brands would do this. But my favorite feature is this magnetic closure. It's just very satisfying, and you get the sense that anything in the interior pockets is safe. It's not going to fall out. So I keep my ID and my main credit card on this outer slot. That's the stuff that I use most often. On the inside, I keep 3 lesser used cards. On the other side, I keep some folded cash, my health insurance IDs, and of course my gold level membership to the local zoo. If you're on a hunt for a better wallet, I think this one is worth checking out. Solar powered Radio Shack calculator. Now, when I'm out at a fancy dinner with a hot date, I often try to stealthily pick up the check. I'm talking somewhere nice, Red Lobster, Sizzler. And maybe you can relate, but sometimes I just get so distracted by my date's beauty that when it comes to calculating the tip, I just go blank. I know there's a shortcut, like you move the decimal and you multiply by something, but I just can't concentrate. That's why I always carry my handy-dandy pocket calculator from my favorite tech retailer, Radio Shack. Incredibly, this one is powered by sunlight, so it's always ready to math. And I know what you're thinking, can't you just use the calculator on your phone? Sure. Lesser men might do this, but a gentleman never pulls out his phone at the dinner table, especially when seated across from a literal perfect 10. That's just low class. If you want to keep things dignified, I recommend heading to your local Radio Shack and picking up one of these clever little gizmos. AirPods Gen 2. Sticking with technology for a moment, I've mentioned the AirPods in my last couple of EDC updates. I still have the first pair that I bought. They're still going strong, no battery degradation. In an uncharacteristic move, I bought the second generation AirPod Pros when they were on sale, like 30% off on Amazon Prime Day. Thanks, M, for the heads up. I figured I'd just save them for when my Gen 1s inevitably died. But of course, I opened them up immediately and tested them out, and I have to say they are a noticeable improvement on an already really great product. The 2 biggest changes are the upgraded transparency mode, which is now adaptive, like it will automatically pause if you start talking, and then it'll start again when you stop talking. It'll get louder or quieter based on what's happening in your environment. Then there's the physical volume controls on each earbud. With Gen 1, you had to either use Siri or change the volume on your phone. Using your phone is inconvenient and kind of defeats the purpose of going wireless, and asking Siri to turn the volume down is just plain goofy. So the physical volume control is a huge upgrade. Basically, my Generation 1 AirPod Pros have been relegated to backup duty. These are now my daily drivers. I highly recommend AirPod Pros, especially if you're an Apple user. If you're not in the Apple ecosystem, there are probably better earbuds that cost less and sound better, but they're not designed by Apple in California. Almost forgot something. My sunglasses. These are the Ray-Ban Franks. I mostly wear cheap sunglasses because they take a beating, like I wear them to the pool, my kids play with them, they get plenty of sweat and sunscreen on them. But I do have this one nicer pair from Ray-Ban. Now I know that Ray-Ban is owned by the evil juggernaut corporation Luxottica, and they're not even that nice. Like, there are much better brands out there. They're mass-produced, they're probably overpriced at full retail. I get it. But they feel pretty good to me compared to most other brands. They're heavy. The lenses are nice compared to cheaper brands that I've tried. I like the brown hue. It has a good amount of darkening and it just gives everything a nice glow. These are my go-to for long drives. Mostly, I like the size and shape of these sunglasses. They're kind of like aviators, but a bit more angular in a subtle sort of way. They don't have that full teardrop shape. The width and the lens height works really well for my somewhat narrow face. I kind of feel like an LAPD bike cop circa 1978. My only gripe is when I move around, these tend to slide down my nose a little bit. Maybe I can get them adjusted so they don't do that, but basically I don't wear these if I'm going to be active. I wear them for like driving and things like that. If I got another pair of these, I might go with titanium because I feel like it'd be a lot lighter and it might stay on my face a bit better. Jewelry. So I always wear a watch on my left wrist and I pretty much always wear this bracelet on my right wrist. It's a simple silver chain. This one is actually from Amazon. It's made by a brand that I had never heard of called Pori Jewelry, but it's surprisingly high quality. It's made in Italy from real 925 sterling silver. I've worn very similar ones from brands like Beyonce and Beyonce? I don't know. But this feels basically the same at like 1/4 the cost. If you want to check the current price, I'll link to this exact bracelet down below in the description. It's a 2.5 millimeter box link chain, which is the perfect size in my opinion, at least for my wrist. Very subtle, very understated, but it's not so thin that it feels like it's going to rip off. I love the Franco box chain shape. It's sort of a squared off chain, which is really industrial looking, but not super chunky. Great size for my wrist. There's not much slack, but there's enough slack that it's easy to put on and take off. Along with my watch and bracelet, I usually wear this 4 millimeter slightly curved platinum wedding band on my left ring finger. Simple, timeless, indestructible. And at night, I've been wearing this Ultra Human Air to track my sleep. I've worn the Oura Ring in the past. I find this Ultra Human a bit more comfortable. The tracking is basically the same. I don't wear it during the day because it just feels like kind of a lot going on to have like 2 rings and a bracelet and a watch. So it's basically just a sleep tracker for me. I think if I was more into like the biohacking, quantified self type stuff, I'd probably wear it all the time, but it's just a bit bulky. So for me, it's not worth wearing it 24/7. Most days I don't even wear the wedding band because I feel like my hands just like change size and shape during the day. You know, they swell up and then go back down. So I just find rings to be generally kind of uncomfortable. It's weird because I'm not bothered by anything on my wrist like watches or bracelet, but rings for some reason, I just don't like them. Don't worry, my wife doesn't care. It's not a problem. That's it for today. I want to thank Nomad Lane again for supporting the channel by sponsoring this video. The sling and the bento bag are both fantastic. I highly recommend them, and I'll link to both of them down below in the description. If you have any questions about anything I showed you or anything else, any suggestions for me, leave them down in the comment section. Thank you as always for watching, and until next time, stay stylish. Forgot about the gum. I also carry this gum. More of a Trident guy than Orbit, really. I feel like Orbit used to be good, but they kind of went downhill. Private equity probably got involved or something. Trident original, though, it's where it's at. Anyway, hey, go check out these other videos. I think you'd like those too. Thanks for watching.